And we are live. What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to Beyond the 90. Leicester City have just beaten Aston Villa away 2-1. So first of all, we've got Dan. So thank you so much, Dan, for joining us. And just first of all, as normally for the guests as well, we ask what are your initial thoughts and what do you think of the game overall, Dan?
I thought we started off really brightly. It was an exciting start. We once we got the first goal in, I thought we really looked to control the pace of the game, but it got very nervy at the end. I was, starting to get those going to do a Leicester feelings,
Yeah, we had the same. I think we were just talking slightly off camera. Me and Alex talked about the same thing. But yeah, over to you, Alex. Kind of, is it something? Is it kind of a decent performance, decent seeing out of the result as well?
Well, yeah, you got to look at the look at the positive. We took 3 points. That's huge. We came out of the gate really strong and hungry. And in the second half, we weren't really there. But I think you got to look at this in the way of we did play on Thursday, so most of our players were gassed by the second half. So look at the positive. We got the 3 points, and we can move forward with this. We've remained in the top 4 in the league, and we're in second now. And we're the only club to not drop out of the top 4 all season, so it's fantastic to see.
Yeah, it's really good to see, and we'll probably get on to the second half just in a little bit. But James, first of all, I'll just start with you in terms of the lineup. Obviously, today I think we're all a bit surprised to see 3 fullbacks playing football today. We're thinking about the result and what formation we're going to play, but I think that's the first time we've seen Ricardo, Castagna, and Thomas in the same team at the same time. What were your thoughts? You're on mute, mate.
Sorry.
Okay.
I think it was the right lineup. Everyone thought Grealish was going to start, and I think that's how we set up. Ricardo up there. Ricardo's a great defender as well as attacker, as we know. So I think he was put there to stop the Grealish threat because Grealish tacks down that wing. He tries to control the possession down that wing. It was probably the right move. When he's not playing, it gave Ricardo that more freedom down that right-hand side. And Castagna attacks as well. So I think down that right-hand side, attacking was great. So for me, the formation seemed to work. And I thought it went really well. I think second half, we seemed to just park the bus a little bit and just try and stick there for the win, which is probably right because we've got another game Thursday, another game next Sunday. They're coming thick and fast. And it's difficult to attack at pace at every single game. So I think it's probably the right formation tactically for the win.
Yeah, I totally think so as well. And it's just, again, it was something we've talked about before. Brendan Rodgers getting his tactics right. And it's something that we wanted to talk about. But again, on that right-hand side, you were just saying Ricardo and Castagna playing for 75% of the game as well. And I think that's the first time we've seen them two play on one side. Just over to your thoughts, Dan, as well, because that was quite an interesting idea, and we've not seen Ricardo playing in that full, like that right mid position. But what did you think of them two and how well they worked today?
I thought it was pretty interesting. Ricardo spent kind of a lot of time, and I haven't seen a heat map yet, but I think he spent kind of a lot of time kind of on the middle third of the pitch, coming in quite a bit from the right. So Castagna had plenty of room to overlap. I think there's a little bit of room for improvement in the way they pass between each other, but this is the first time they played together like that. So I think it's got potential to be a really interesting setup in the future, especially if somebody like Grealish is coming at us down there, the opponent's left-hand side. I think we could really use that to our advantage to play a couple of really defensively stout players who can attack well too.
Yeah, I think so as well. And in terms of how we played, I think on the other side, I'll shift it over to the other side, Alex, in terms of Barnes and Thomas today. Again, 2 very young players. Barnes will get a lot of the headlines, but how well do you think, we'll probably come on to Barnes specifically in a bit. I know some people have mentioned it, Fox has mentioned it in the comments already, but just already today, what do you think about the link-up, especially in that first half between Barnes and Thomas?
I think they were really, really good together. Thomas just seemed to just have it today. Just was brilliant whenever he had possession or, whenever he was defending. And then the link up with Barnes has been excellent. Whenever they seem to be together, they seem to be really good. And today was just another example. And like we said in the first half, their link up and their, the way that they play together is just perfect. I think that's something that you can look forward to because they're two young players, and they're only going to get better as they develop together. And that's without even speaking about Justin as well. You have all these young players that can play on the in that position, and it's going to be exciting to watch moving forward.
Yeah, I totally think so. And just over to you, get your thoughts on that, James, as well, because we've seen that before in the Europa League against Athens. We've not quite seen it in the Premier League. And again, Aston Villa weren't the best side today, and it seems like Jack Grealish has really affected them coming out of the team. But that is both of them obviously coming from our academy, both being from Leicester as well. I think that's a really exciting partnership to look forward to coming into the future.
Yeah, totally agree with that. One thing I did want to mention, Thomas's block in the first half. If he doesn't block that, that goes in, and the whole game can completely change. And it was a tremendous block, last-ditch block, got there. A lot of defenders dream about blocks like that. So I thought it was a great block. Going forward, him and Barnes were interlinking quite well, I thought. And Thomas gives Barnes that kind of free will to go where he wants to go, knowing that he's there to cover. And they're both quite pacey as well. So I think, like you say, it's a great partnership. I think I read somewhere they're both been in the academy since the ages of 7 and 8, which is huge for Leicester, bringing that kind of academy into the Premier League and how well they're both playing together. But yeah, I think link-up play was just amazing between both of them. They just seem to know where each other is. When Thomas goes forwards, Barnes was dropping a little bit, and vice versa. They seem to know each other's game. Same as on the right with Ricardo and Castagna, they just seem to know each other's game. And I think them kind of link-ups is why we're at our position we are today, because them link-ups are winning this games.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And also, you got to remember that Thomas has played maybe 5-6 games in all competitions. So maybe his third or second start in the Premier League. And to come in like that just shows you, again, the strength and depth that we're talking about in terms of this Leicester team. Because today in the first half, Dan, just the way that they were performing and just outmaneuvering Aston Villa, who did look a bit down in the dumps, but it was almost just the movement I've got was like clinical, it was quick, it was sharp. We couldn't really ask for too much more. And we got 2 goals within the space of 4 minutes. We're pretty much sailing from there, weren't we?
Right. And we exploited the gaps that Villa left with just clinical precision in the first half. And it looked like Villa was the team that played midweek, and we were the ones that had the week off. So I was really impressed with the first half an hour for sure. And especially, like you guys were saying, down that left, Barnes' running power at those guys was just, it was giving them no rest whatsoever.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think I'll just hand it over to you, Alex, because we've talked about Barnes before. We've talked about how awesome he is. And again, Fox has put man of the match today, Barnes' result. And for me, I've got a little bit of a query about that, not in a bad way, but how was he today? Because I think for me, he was, again, today is the kind of day where he just looks absolutely unplayable.
Yeah, no, he was on we've been talking about Barnes like playing at a completely different level that we're used to watching him play at. And this is just another example of that. He, was stellar. Whenever he had possession, he, just completely dominated any defender, and he really dictated play no matter what. And, it's just another example of how well he has developed this season. One of the other things I'd like to point out is just the way the chemistry that Barnes and Maddison have together. It's just something that, we really haven't seen. And just to see these two players just really just watching their chemistry over this season, just overall improve, has been something incredible to watch. And one thing that I made comment during the middle of the game was, be crazy to think that Southgate wouldn't consider bringing both Barnes and Maddison in the way that they've been playing together, because they're a dynamic duo at this point. So it's so exciting to watch them. And Barnes especially, he's really taken it to that next level. And I think he hasn't even reached his full potential yet. He's just going to continue to improve.
Yeah, I can't agree more with that. And just and just the way he's improved, because James, it just seems to be the difference between a player that can perform and a player that can perform on a consistent basis. We're seeing this game in, game out with Barnes. And as Alex was saying, England has to look at him. Southgate has been at a few of these games, and he's probably one of the players that he's looking at. But you have to be considering him for the England squad.
Yeah, well, the normal person would want him in the England squad. This is England. Ever since I remember, they do not pick players on form. It has always been the top six. The big six always get the players from the big six, and it always has been. From as long as I can remember, he'll probably go. I'm not sure he'll be in the starting 11, but he'll probably go. But this is one of the bugbears I've got with England. They never pick the informed players. Every single European Championships, World Cup, you go back to any single one of them, you look at it and go, why is such and such not there? Why are they not there? Why are they not there? They're the informed ones. Why have they not gone? And that's the way it's always been. I think, I don't want to go into an England rant, but with regards to the England setup, it probably needs a bit of a change in the back room. Not sure Southgate's got full control of who he picks off and what clubs, but you'd want the informed 11 to start him, wouldn't you? And for me, Barnes has to go to the Euros. Maddison would go to the Euros as well. Both of them need to be there in the Euros. So for me, yeah, they both need to go, but whether they do go is probably a completely different story.
It is a completely different story, and that's probably one thing we'll get to around that time. But just going back to this game as well, I think he ran that defence ragged at times, and we saw the burst of energy and the pace and directness that I think other teams have been paying attention to as well with Barnes. But again, he just looks unstoppable at recent.
Yeah, the energy he's bringing to the game going forward and also working back is something that can't be understated in this team. And I think what we're going to, like Alex's point about him and Maddison playing together well, it's because I'm pretty sure Brendan Rodgers had a conversation with them that they needed to increase their output. And the fact that they're working together to both increase their output and their numbers is amazing. And look, long may it continue, I guess, is the short answer there.
Yeah, I agree. And also, I think they're adding goals pretty much on a consistent basis. And it's not just a phase where they go through goal droughts or they go through goals. It's like, right, we're adding goal here, we're getting a goal here, we're adding goal here. And it's consistent, which is awesome to see. And we'll just move again. We got 2 goals. I think, Alex, they were just both well taken in the space of like 19, 23 minutes. Do you think that was kind of Brendan Rodgers' first thought? Because we came into the match and we was like, right, we're going to dominate them for 45. Second half, it kind of changed a little bit. It wasn't just a goal. We just kind of set off a little bit. But I think that was the tactics of Brendan Rodgers. Come in, get the points, and then just shut up shop. But the first half, the way we pressed them was really, really impressive. Because bearing in mind, I know they had Grealish out, but they are still a very decent team, in my opinion, in terms of likes of Traore, in terms of Barkley, in terms of Watkins. I think he's got 12 goals in all competitions as well. So it wasn't easy at the back as well.
No, and I think Rodgers going into this was, more focused on if we can close out the game early, then we can get the players that we need off as soon as we can, so we can focus and prepare for our Thursday's match against Slavia Prague. And I think that first half was dictated perfectly. Moving into the second half, all of a sudden we're only up by 1. It kind of changes the whole dynamics on how to, go. And, I was quite shocked to see Vardy play the full 90 minutes, especially with Nacho being ineligible for the next game against Slavia Prague because of the yellow card. All of a sudden you're thinking, okay, so Vardy's going to be playing 90 minutes. So that means he's playing 2 full matches, most likely, in this week. So, I was surprised with a lot of stuff, but, I think at the end of the day, you just have to trust Rodgers. And that's one thing that I have fully accepted and just, entrusted with him is that, Rodgers is that tactician and he is a brilliant strategist. So he knows what to do when he needs to do it. And I think what he did at the end of this game was, pull off the players like Tielemans, who looked absolutely gassed. Maddison, picking up an injury, and just really being able to okay, we need to park the bus here and we need to focus on defending and really just take the players that need that rest to, and to give them that opportunity. And I think it was a smart play. And, those last 5 minutes, 15 minutes or so were complete stressful. But at the end of the day, we pulled out those 3 points, and I'm quite happy with that.
Yeah, I agree to a certain point. I think they were stressful. Again, watching Leicester go by, I've been a lot more stressed watching them at 2-1. They're going, okay, they're going to leak a goal. I think we should show up shop, but it is kind of Leicester. We're looking at it very differently. We draw 2-2. But again, I think Glenn makes a good point as well. Love beating Villa. So thanks for your comment again, Glenn. And the boys left it all on the pitch in the second half. We were knackered. It's going to be tough for us on Thursday. We'll probably come on to Thursday in a little bit. But in terms of that, James, I think tactically today we got it spot on. Brendan Rodgers knew what he was doing, and he kind of he made the right players come on at the right time. Like I've got as well in the second half in terms of Marty and Mendy when they came on, they had a job and they did the job to perfection, and that's something that we've not seen in times gone past. But they come on, they know their job, shut up shop, and they both did a really good job. And in terms of Brendan Rodgers, he got everything right for this one.
Yeah, exactly that. And as Alex said, he's probably got one eye on Thursday as well. Get some of your key players off, but put the right players on in their positions to give you what you need to do. And at one point we had 4 at the back and 3 CDMs on that, probably 7 at the back. Shut up shop. You stop your attack. You stop their service. Barkley going off was probably key for me as well. Barkley was pulling their strings a little bit. Him going off probably helped us a little bit. So for me, from Brendan Rodgers' side, tactically spot on. Players, as you said, they come on, they do a job, and that's what they did. You can't really put anyone at fault. Today, I think everyone played as well as they can do. Yes, we could have gone up a gear, I felt, but I think on the whole, it was a good team performance, and everyone just did what they needed to do to get the points.
Yeah, I agree. And also, that was the kind of team that Leicester were in a little bit in terms of the Aston Villa. We've been in that position before where we couldn't break down a team or we couldn't get there. But it shows a real maturity, not just on the manager, but in terms of the players that go, right, we're going to just see this one out as a 2-1. We're not going to try and smash them 3 or 4 or 5, but we're going to just try and get the result and move on. And again, if Aston Villa weren't as good, they could have got a couple more goals, but they didn't take it. And again, Dan, we are pushing ourselves match after match into that top 4, as Alex was saying, and securing it. And performances like today, do you think it will go under the radar by the top 6? But it gives us 3 points, with Chelsea dropping points of recent as well. It puts us in a really good position. It might not move us up in goal difference, but we're solidifying that top 4 every single game with the likes of Europa League and with the likes of FA Cup as well.
Right, and doing it across 3 competitions is no small thing. It's interesting you ask about it because the American pundits were talking about it right after the game. They're like, well, traditionally Leicester's not part of the traditional Big 6, but should they be considered part of the conversation? And Tim Howard said, well, maybe not. Maybe I think they kind of relish the role, and I kind of agree. You know, I think going out there with a little bit of a chip on your shoulder about being ignored and being the invisibles kind of helps us in a way, and I relish it myself. I think going out there under the radar is exactly it suits us just fine. And as far as you guys like you guys were saying with Rodgers and the substitutions, I completely agree. I just wanted to tack that on the end. But running out there with 3 center defensive midfielders looking a bit like Pulis ball, but we got the 3 points at the end, and that's what matters.
Do you know what? I was thinking exactly the same thing for the Liverpool game and exactly the same game for this one. Same thing, because I was thinking this is the kind of formation that Puel would set up at the beginning of a game and we'd end up losing 2-1. So the fact that we've not done that and we've come into it is absolutely fine. And yeah, it's something that we will really relish. And again, it's just good tactical play at the same time. We've got a comment from what's it called? Oh, from James. So Jay, you've been linked for the England manager job, which is good. So I'd love to be on the backroom staff for that one. So thank you very much. And Hiran's got a comment as well, just saying, how do you think Thomas dealt with the pressure for filling in for James Justin again, Alex? Because again, there's been such a shift, and James Justin is a massive player for us. And with Thomas not playing that many games, I think he makes a really good point in terms of how they are big shoes to fill. And we said that when he got injured. But how do you think he coped in general? Because I know we've talked on it before, but in terms of both going forward and defending, he both was fantastic today.
Yeah, I think it's huge because, we've talked about James Justin this season and how incredible he's been playing. He's been playing on this level that really I don't think anyone's ever seen, that type of defender so young be able to, be so versatile in any position, and he just, just surprises everyone because he just plays so exceptional. To having, him get injured and be out long term, all of a sudden, Rogers handing the reins over to Thomas, who's barely played this season. And, I think for him, those are big shoes to fill. Because, like I said, Justin's been playing on a whole different scale, having Thomas come in and everyone expecting kind of the same in a sense. He's done a great job, especially for the limited amount of time that he's been playing. And I think he's only going to develop more. I think a lot of, fans forget how young he is. So he's only going to get better with the more experience he gets. So today, in my opinion, he was one of the best players on the field for Leicester. And, with Justin out long term, I think this gives, Thomas that opportunity to really, develop his skill and develop his play over the next, few months, if, or longer, depending how long that Justin injury is. So, yeah, I think he did fantastic, and I'm looking forward to seeing what he'll be able to do and how he'll develop further on.
Yeah, because again, he's just saying he's 19 years old. This is ridiculous. Him and Fofana, again, ridiculously young. A lot of this squad is just going to get better with time and the more they play together and all these kind of things. Just a question for the future England manager. Do you think that Barnes will leave for a traditional top 6 team? Again, it's something that is going to get asked time and again, but what are your thoughts on that?
Not at the minute, no. If I'm perfectly honest. I think with regard to players leaving, even the young ones, I think there's going to be a point in their careers where if Leicester don't win everything, yes, they can be top 4 every year and in the Champions League. If they don't win trophies, then that plays on a player's mind and they may want to go somewhere to win trophies. But I think stick with the team. They've got a good chance of Europa, extremely good chance in the FA Cup as well this year. But I think no, I can't see anyone leaving this summer because I think they've got a close knit team, just like it was when we won the league. They're a band of brothers. They're together in that closeness now, and I think that's what's keeping them all together. And I think being part of being at a workplace where you get on with everyone and everyone's your friends and part of a family means people stay at that job, and I can just see a lot of them staying and seeing how next season comes. If we get Champions League, they'll all want to stay anyway because they'll all want to play in the Champions League next season.
Yeah, I totally agree. And just on to you, Dan, literally the same question in terms of the same point that James making, but also does this apply to Brendan Rodgers as well? Because a lot of people have been touting him over the last couple of years. Which Big Six job is he going to take next? And with the squad and the owners and everything around that, can you see anybody that you can see leaving in the summer? And B, what do you think about Brendan Rodgers leaving? Because I don't think he will, but I think, especially as you were saying, a lot of people outside the top 6 will say so.
Right. I'm not sure I can see anybody leaving, bar maybe Ndidi with the links with this. Who's the guy's name escapes me, but we were just linked to another central defensive midfielder this week. But as far as Rodgers goes, I think the longer you stay, and maybe this applies to Barnes and Maddison and any of the other guys at the club too, the younger guys, the longer you stay and the more success you're having, the more the legend, your stock is only going to grow. So I don't see a point in moving on if I was in one of those positions to a Big Six club, because is it better to be a fringe player at a big, quote unquote, Big Six club and, do a Drinkwater or Chilwell? Or is it better to be a guy who carries a club that was, in League One a decade ago up to Champions League or top 4 standard consistently? I think you get your name attached to that, and people are really going to take notice. And namely, Gareth Southgate should be taking notice.
Yeah, and I think he is, because the amount of games he's been to this season watching Leicester, he's been, I think, at least 6 of them now. So, and that was only since December time. So it's looking good for us. And again, it's just something that we've got to kind of enjoy at the same time, Alex, because I did have another question related to that. But in terms of, is there anybody, I think you were Googling there, but that person that was leaving, but we are building a squad, and it's something that consistently what we are doing. And potentially last season on this run, we would have potentially drawn that game last minute. but they're all coming into they all come into their role and they know what they're doing. And again, does it kind of play homage to the fact that we're doing so well that people aren't taking notice as much? Or is it more that you think now people are starting to pay attention to us?
I think the way that Leicester have been playing, and I think that the way that a lot of the journalists have been focusing in on, there's a lot of surprise from what I'm hearing. Is there's a lot of surprise from certain journalists seeing how well Leicester are doing, and then you get the other journalists that are like, well, Leicester really is a team that will challenge, and I think that's one of the things is that you're kind of seeing it on both sides. And as Dan pointed out like earlier, I like the fact that we're kind of hidden and we're not really visible. We're always often forgotten, and to me, I have no issue with that. Because one of the great things about that is that you can sneak in here and there, and all of a sudden, all these journalists and all these fans are like, wait, where did Leicester show up? I think it was there was a discussion it was about West Ham possibly getting close to Manchester United in the standings, completely forgetting that Leicester is, tied. Which is, for me, I'm like, well, they forgot about Leicester, but at the same time, I'm like, do I care? We're still in this top position. And just, moving back to the question about, do you think if anybody's going to leave the club this season? If, in the off season, if there is a player that leaves, it will be because we are bringing someone in to, build up that position maybe even better. So I don't see any of the big star players leaving. I think what James said perfectly is that this team is really connected and really, bonded together over, what they've been doing over the past year and a half. And, I think last year, the way that they collapsed at the end of the season really bonded that team and this club together. And I think all of them are together moving forward, wanting to stay and, continue the fight. So, if anyone does go, I'd be more shocked than anything else at this rate. Because I think what you have with this club is completely different from what a lot of other clubs have. It's this brotherhood. It's that, they're bonded together, that want to, compete and win together. And that's something that I think a lot of clubs, have in some sense, but Leicester City is a completely different giant.
Yeah, and also as well, I agree with what you're saying as well. And a lot of the players that have left every season. So you look at the likes of when we've won since the Premier League. Kante left; he could just about start for Chelsea. After that, I can't remember. Drinkwater left. Exactly, he's in Turkey. It's some unknown club you can't even spell. Then you're at where are you looking at next? I think you're on Mahrez is the next one. Again, he's just starting for Man City, but how many games has he actually started? Again, he's immense talent as he is. He can't even start a game. Ben Chilwell of recent can't even start a game under Tuchel. And Maguire, again, he's been absolutely slated. And every Man United fan I end up talking to is we've ended up going, thank you very much. And they end up just trying to move on because they've got PTSD from the amount of money we played. But from that, James, I think, is this from the previous transfers that have happened, especially to Premier League rivals, and we've seen them not work out, can you see players going, actually, I don't want to be the next one of them and I don't really want to be out the door. And if I'm here, why not stay?
So the Big Six conversation is a difficult one because the Big Six can offer 3 times your wages. Their sponsorship deals are so much better than we could ever get them. I mean, I saw a Wayne Rooney interview recently where he was talking about when he was at Man United. He spent 3 to 4 days filming for sponsors because that's how much that machine generates and how much money it generates. So I can see that a footballer's career is very, very short, probably 10 to 12 years at max. So they try and get as much money as they can, which is why you see the likes of Maguire went because it was his boyhood club. I think Chilwell went for the money. Drinkwater definitely went for the money. Mahrez went to win trophies. He went there and he's won trophies. So fair play to him. But again, money, every single one of them has not gone on a kind of transfer for the same money. They've all gone for 2 or 3 times their current wages, which as a player I could see, okay. But then there's the other side of it. Nobody wants to be in a job where you're sitting on the bench every single game. As a footballer, you want to be out there running, playing football every single day. And I think that's key for this team, is getting them together, keeping them together as one unit, getting them all playing. Squad rotation is going to be key to keeping everybody happy. We know that. But I think Brendan Rodgers is starting to mould that into the Leicester way. I mean, we've seen this season, players have come in, filled boots, done amazingly well. And today we saw a lot more squad rotation. They come on, they do a job, we get the 3 points, and everyone's leaving the pitch as kind of one team. And I think that's key for this is how well he's got them playing together. I think if Brendan Rodgers, someone came in for Rodgers with a big amount of money again, would he stay or go? Because he wants that Premier League title. He wants to win in England. Can he win that here? I'm not so sure. The way Man City and the money that Man City, Liverpool and Man United have got. So it's key that we keep this team together as a team and keep him at the front of that team, because I think he can get this team a lot of trophies.
Yeah, I think so, and I'm really hoping so far, because again, if you look at the likes of Tottenham, and the whole point of Mourinho coming was to win trophies, and that's not really worked out. It can go up as well as it can down, but just want to get your thoughts down on exactly what James said, because there's a lot of brilliant points he made there.
Right, and well, one thing that I was thinking while he was saying that was some of these guys that left, maybe bar Chilwell, were a bit older when they left, maybe mid-20s. And with a guy like Vardy in the team who turned down a move to a Big Six club for double the money or more, I don't remember how much Wenger said he was willing to pay him, but it was an obscene amount compared to what he was making at the time. And maybe he can impress upon these younger guys that it's okay to stay where you're at, build your cred a little bit, create a legend for yourself here in Leicester. I think Vardy made a brave choice then, and I hope he impresses that choice on the younger guys now, because I mean, it's invaluable to keep a team like this together. The chemistry is so good right now in the midfield with an Ndidi and Tielemans, and then across that front three and Vardy. It's just, I mean, I want it to stay together with her so bad, but like James was saying, coming in for double or 2.5 times the money, it's hard for some players to turn down.
It is hard to turn down, but at the same time, we can offer something special. It's the same reason why I think Tielemans' agent was hanging on for the Man Uniteds and the Tottenhams to come in for the bids, and then they never did, and then he ended up coming to us anyway. And it's that same kind of thing. And just wanted to bring it on to a bit back to the match a little bit, in terms of, we don't know the situation of Maddison, but if again, over to you, Alex. Heaven forbid, if he's out for Thursday, we've got Jose Perez out. What do you think we do in that situation?
That's difficult. Because Perez is out, Pratt's out, and if Matters is out, now do you do 2 defensive center midfielders in Ndidi and Mendy and put Tielemans as a center midfielder? Might be your safest bet at this point. It's tough. Because you also have to incorporate the fact that Nacho isn't eligible as well, so you're missing him. Under hasn't been performing at all. He missed. He wasn't even in the lineup and didn't even get the chance to come off the bench today. It's a difficult question, because with the mounting amount of injuries you have, you got to wonder what they're probably already thinking this. They're probably at the point where being, okay, what's going on with Maddison? If he's not healthy enough to play on Thursday, what are we going to do? And if it was me, I'd even consider, I would probably do 2 defensive center midfielders with a center midfielder, and I'd probably bring even Chowdhury and Ndidi probably with Tielemans. That'd be my go-to, but just with the amount of injuries, it's so tough.
It is a tough one, because again, Pratt's out, and he could a position that he could play there as well. It's just all in one position. But again, we've got some fullbacks, we've got some defensive, but it's going forward, and that is the issue. And just onto what Alex was saying, it was one of my questions that I forgot to mention today with the formation, with the 4-2-3-1, with Albrighton coming out of the team on that right hand side. You think, right, who's the person that would slot in directly, and it'll be Under. And he didn't. He decided to go and play Ricardo over Under. What do you think that is, James? And why do you think that is?
As I said earlier, that even down that side, you need someone that can defend. I personally think Albrighton was probably rested for Thursday, because I think he's going to be key in that game, if I'm perfectly honest. But I think Under he just doesn't defend. Rodgers always said he wants both of his wingers to be able to defend as well as attack, and he doesn't really do that. I think Under's decision making has not been the best at times when I've seen him play, but I think his defensive is key, and that's why Rodgers doesn't play him, because he doesn't track back and defend. And everyone will go, well, nor did Mahrez. Yeah, but look how many goals Mahrez scores.
Sorry, I didn't mean to do that. I was just prepping it for the next question. Hold on. I'll go back. Yeah, no worries. Sorry. Are you finished, James?
Alive.
Yeah, I'm finished.
Okay, no worries. It's the disadvantage of trying to get used to this new software. But yeah, anyway, what I was going to bring it on to was the statistics, as a clever man once did. Yeah. So again, 50% possession, which I was surprised at. 16 shots compared to 11. 2 on target for Villa, which again, I think one of them was the goal and one of them, I can't even remember. 7 for us, which is quite high, to be honest, for us, with 2 goals. 8 corners to 7, and then 11 fouls. So overall, it's quite an equal game in terms of statistics. It wasn't so much, Dan, in terms of the whole performance in general. You could say that Aston Villa did bring it back at the end, but I think overall we deserve the points. And I just want to get us also your thoughts on Under as well.
Right. It did seem with the stats, first off, I think it probably went back Villa's way slightly near the end when we kind of shut up shop. So, I mean, but with the shots and all that stuff, it looks like we kind of dominated the game like we did in the first half. That all kind of shows through in the stats. And with regards to Under, I think here's a guy kind of like Rashid Ghazal, seems to have bags of technical ability. And I'm not sure that the mentality matches the amount of technical ability he has. And if it did, if you put his technical ability with Albrighton's work rate, I mean, you'd have a hell of a player on your hands. And I think that's probably what he's missing right now. And if he imported more of that into his game, he would probably be in a starting spot. But that's the way I see that one. With regards to Thursday, if I could just jump back to that question that Alex got, didn't Barnes spend some time playing in the 10 when he was on loan at West Brom? Could we potentially slide him in there and use Albrighton and Under on the wings? It's just a thought I kicked around in my head as he was answering that question. But if that's completely off the ball, feel free to ignore it.
I think he played in a front 3, so like a 4-3-3. He was playing on the left of the front 3. So it is slightly different, but it is an option. What do you think, Alex? Because that's an interesting dilemma as well.
Oh, that's tough because, we have seen Barnes play as a striker this season, and it didn't really seem like his position. So I feel like he plays better on the wing. I don't know how he would do if you would, throw him as a center attacking mid. Like I said, it's tough. I would feel more confident with Barnes playing on the wing rather than in the midfield, just mainly because he has more room to run, and that's just where Barnes thrives. And I think you really limit his potential when he's in the midfield there. So I'd still leave Barnes on the side.
Yeah, Barnes again. I see him more as an out-and-out winger, and that's where you get the best of him. Kind of, I see him as you drift out to the right. You see him when he eyes up a player and he goes, right, I'm going to take you on now. And he has the belief that he's going to go. You can't really do the same thing through the middle. And it does help with other players. But just over to you, James. So I think we've got just one more comment before we finish, because I will move on to the preview kind of. We've got another preview coming with David for the Slavia Prague game tomorrow. So I look forward to that one. But again, if Maddison isn't fit, how about Tavares giving it a chance? It might. Yuri looks spent at the minute, and I agree. But I think is it just a bit too risky to drop Tavares in such an important game to get through to the last 16?
I don't think you're going to bring someone new into the squad in a must-win game, if I'm perfectly honest. For me, Tielemans will just slot into that role, and he'll play Mendy and Ndidi in that central role, which will stop their attack, but also give us the ability to go forward at pace. So I think that's, for me, how they'll line up. Yes, Tielemans looked absolutely tired every single time I've seen him the last 3 games. And and he's never going to get a break. But as Roger says, when he leaves him out for a game, it takes him 3 games to get back into his pace. So I think they're just trying to play him as long as they can, if I'm perfectly honest, and hoping that a gap comes up soon. But I think Tielemans is a great player. We've all seen how great he's been. He's just looking really, really tired, if I'm perfectly honest.
Yeah, he is. And I think, just the issue at the moment. But anyway, moving forward from that, because, again, Tielemans has always looked a little bit tired, hence why he used to come off at 60 minutes when we first got him as well. But I think, hopefully, with this kind of games, hopefully we get that sorted out. But just want to get your thoughts on, Dan, obviously, on the upcoming game against Prague, because it's going to be an interesting game, and it's a real opportunity at the King Power. They weren't the best. They were. Me and Alex were saying they were falling over like they were shot half the time. It was really, at times, it was quite disgraceful, to be honest. You come with all this big talk. And so what do you think about the match going forward? Do you think we've got enough talent, enough quality to win that?
Yeah, I think we do, even with the amount of players missing out. I mean, we weren't at it 100% on Thursday in Prague, and I think the pitch was against us. The rugby tackles didn't help. You know, I think at home on our own patch, I think we're going to face up better against them. I expect, there will be changes to the front 3. I think, like everybody's saying, we're probably going to have to continue to play Tielemans and Ndidi, 3rd game in a week. But I think we'll have enough, and hopefully we get the job done early, and some of these guys can catch some rest, namely Tielemans, because I think, I mean, 3 games in a week, 90 minutes or nearly 90 minutes at a crack is a lot. And like James was saying, initially, or maybe you were, Neil, when he came in, he wasn't really staying on the pitch longer than 60 minutes. So the guy's really built up his fitness, but I'd hate to see him overtaxed with the fixture schedule that we've got right now.
Yeah, and it's something that if we end up going out in the Europa League, people will say in hindsight it's always nice, but if he gets an injury or if he gets overtired, then we don't end up in the top 4. Then all these things start to, people can find all the excuses going forward. But again, it's something that I think we're just going to have to look at. I think we can look at next year with Dewsbury Hall coming in, or we're going to look at a backup to him or an understudy, because again, for the age he is and how he's performed this season has been outstanding so far. So I can't really complain too much. But just over to you, Alex, as kind of final thoughts on that, because the Prague game will be going live after that, so make sure you tune in for that one. But what are your thoughts on the Prague game? Because I think we can definitely give it to them.
I think we can. It all depends on the level of compete they're willing to play at. I think that's one of the things that we've always kind of talked about, is that, we can usually tell if they're on right at the start, and that will be key. And I think my biggest concern is Ndidi and Tielemans. They've just been played like a lot, and my biggest concern is that Ndidi's gone down with a few injuries this year. I would hate to see him go down again. And then Tielemans, has been playing exceptional, but he's just exhausted. So having either of those players go down to injury right now would just be incredibly. It would be critical to this entire season. So I still think that we can take the win. Like I said before, I think in our post match for the Slavia Prague game was, we're home at the King Power. And we're home in our on our field, and that's just going to be a game changer in itself. And I think that they're willing and going to be able to come out with the victory here. Yeah,
I think so. We'll have a pre-match for that, so make sure you stay tuned for that. But again, thank you everybody for joining. Thanks, Dan, again for joining us. Where can the people find you?
On Twitter at MetCage64. I should have put it in my name there, but next time I'll fix it.
No worry, mate. We'll make sure to link it in the description down below. So thank you once again for everybody for joining. Again, make sure to like, subscribe, and all that good stuff. I get up every time, Alex. I forget to promote it because I'm too busy talking about football. I've got to get better at this publicity stuff. But yeah, thank you all for watching, and we'll see everybody in the next video. So goodbye.